Happy 11/11. It's D in Spirit. We're going to just pull some cards tonight just for the fun of it. I wanted to start with the angel cards. Feeling called to see what the angel cards. These are cards of abundance. Power of prayer. Give this situation to God for uplifting and healing and be open to miracles. Heaven's unlimited resources, love, and answers are awaiting your prayers. Be sure to act upon the divine guidance God gives you in response to your prayers. So if there's something that you're dealing with, for this 11/11, what I've heard a billion times today, 11/11 portal, which I believe starts at midnight tonight, and it's just a celestial event that happens. But perhaps there's something that you do need to commit to the power of prayer, and that's exactly why I wanted to start with the angels. We're gonna move forward with the tarot of the divine. Tonight I wanted to focus on my collective and on my family, the family that I am building and growing, and seeing what is the strengths that are in this collective. Specifically, what are the strengths? And so with that card, it could be that this is also a powerful praying collective. It could be that a powerful praying collective always needs to be reminded of prayer at any time. I do. Everybody does, I think, at times when you're just overstimulated and just have too much going on. So we're going to pull and ask about the strength of this collective. What are the strengths that are going to lead this collective forth in the coming year? Pass. That was good. Okay. The Two of Swords. You're going to have the strength of discernment and the power of making choices, maybe between things that are difficult. So there's a lot of discernment there. You have the moon in the background. It's a beautiful card. In the tarot of the divine, this is the Two of Swords is being stuck between two hard choices. Sita's decision between Celia and Cherubius is not easy and cannot be made blindly. It calls for self-reflection. Things can only remain balanced for so long before a move must be made. So this is a collective that has no problem facing their fears, breaking a stalemate. They move out of denial quickly, work well against opposition, and get themselves out of precarious predicaments. So this is, this is a decisive group that are able to wield the Two of Swords properly. There's fire sign. We could have the burning off of old things. With the swords, you have the cutting away of what no longer serves you. You have the truth coming forth, with words, being the swords, being thoughts and words, and the ability for truth to cut through like a sword. So this is a powerful and looks like a meditated also collective, that you've spent the self-reflection time to have the power to wield those swords well, to be able to discern what is worthy of of your time and your effort, and what is the truth and what's not, and to be able to cut away that which is not, to cut away the one thing of the two that you're not supposed to choose. And maybe that's a really hard choice. Let me ask for one more from the Tarot of the Divine. The strength of this collective. Discernment, I, felt kind of automatically that would be one, so that really works for that. This is a collective that has been through a lot of hardship and adversity. This is the Five of Coins. And this is a collective that also has found, I love this card for that reason, a collective that's also found stability, warmth, kindness, and joy in the church after they went through the things that they went through. So this is a collective that has lived through a lot of coldness in life and a lot of hardships in life and things that were really, really tough to get through. And they made it through, and in a lot of cases, they ended up making it through by developing a potent spiritual life. They really leaned on a higher power to make it through what they were going through. This is the little match girl. It's a Danish fairy tale. It's possible financial hardship and feeling left out in the cold. So you might have felt like you struggled alone for a while, and you might have had to reach out for help at some point, because you've seen some adversity, you've seen some isolation, you've lived through unemployment, you may have lived through ruin, you've probably lived through a lot of different hardships that left you feeling out in the cold, whether they were financial or otherwise. But out of that though, you became someone who is wise and can discern which way to go, can discern what is right and what's wrong, and what is good and what's bad. You kind of figured out how to keep you and your baby out of the cold, as we see in that card, by choosing well, by discerning rightly, rather than staying where you were. And you learn to do that by learning a new thing, following some spiritual principles, and reflecting on self and healing some wounds within yourself. So that is a beautiful collective and one that you would expect to see here. Now I wanted to use some of the biblical tarot cards to also get an idea of the collective that is gathering here on this channel. The Four of Candles, the Ark brought to Jerusalem, wearing a linen ephod. David was dancing before the Lord with all his might, while he and all Israel were bringing up the Ark of the Lord with shouts and the sound of trumpets. So when they finally got it there, it was a big deal because they had lost several people trying to get it there. It was a huge deal to get it to where it needed to go. A big undertaking for man to get the ark to where it needed to go safely. And and this was a huge time of celebration. So this is a collective that also is going to be is going to be important in the coming days, of bringing some important fulfillment to come to pass, and seeing the celebration of that. um and those jobs are many, and I'll go ahead and pull another card because there are other cards that may add to that. But this collective in general is going to usher in, because this was the beginning of the building of the temple. Oh, there's two. Yeah. So the high priestess, this is the beginning of, or well, probably the finishing. So this was the final getting the ark in the place that was worthy for it, because they had finally finished. So this was just the final thing that allowed them to finally celebrate that this thing was done. And we have the high priestess. So this is a collective who are intuitive. This is a collective who is very in touch with with the spiritual realm. And I always see Mary Magdalene and the skulls, that these are evil spirits that were cast out of her. These were demons that were cast out of her. And for us as humans, many times that is exactly, I'm going to have to rearrange here. That is exactly that she had to go through that time in order to in order to lean into spirit enough. And that's something that I've actually spoken about before, in different places regarding faith, that the sad truth is that a lot of times the people with the most faith are the people they've been through so much that they did not have anything else to lean on. And when you're to that place, then you give easier. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just letting it fall over. yeah, then you kind of give to it a little bit easier. And when you don't have anywhere else to lean, then you'll lean where you're supposed to lean. And that's just the hard truth of the matter. And Mary Magdalene has done that. So this collective has been through that Five of Coins, and they have been out in the cold, and they have learned through self-reflection and through a lot of prayer. They've learned to make better choices and be discerning. They've learned to listen to intuition, listen to the Holy Spirit when something doesn't feel right, when it feels funny. They just no, 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 and that's it. And they've learned to listen to that still small voice and to get instructions that are specific, for what to do next. And that's what makes you capable of discerning, what makes you capable of making those hard choices with critical timing, because you are able to listen to spirit, and spirit's able to tell you. And that skill of being able to do that is the reason why you're gonna be integral in in the ringing, I'm gonna say, the ringing in of a new temple involving the next generation of people, to say it, more 3D or more kind of down to earth, like, um I don't really I don't really go in for, ascension, things like that. I mean, I in our world, I think, that this is really going to be a new ringing in of a way to express our faith, a way to live our faith. It's just going to be a new ringing in of a new way of being, which is something that we covered in the very last reading, the Reflections on Theology reading that I did. We covered the newness and possibly reimagining worship, that you can look back at that reading about. But this is going to be an important collective in doing the job of making a new important something that is incredibly important to people's belief in the coming years. Okay, the next card that oh my gosh, the Empress. Okay. All right. You're a collective with loving hearts, with very loving hearts, and with growth at your fingertips, at the ready. So that's a beautiful thing. You just have to pardon me. Like, I've never had those two come out together before. This right here, that's my collective. Can you imagine a more powerful duo? Love and light and beauty, feminine divine of the heart that is growing and receptive, that is a fertile place, but that is open. And my collective is a combination. My collective is people that are taking these two right here and combining them and making them work together. Like this is my collective, this combination of the two. If I could overlay, this is the beautiful loving heart of Mary. This is the woman saying yes to the impossible, and this is the woman who is hearing the voice of God. This is a beautiful combination and a most beautiful collective to be speaking to. That's just really stunningly incredible, even more than the Ark of the Covenant card, which is, wow. Okay. Okay, I'm blown away now. I'm gonna get, let's see, what now? These. Wow. Well, it went back. It went back. Alright, is there anything else strength-wise about this collective? How strong this collective is? Anything else that is important to know about this collective of people who will be gathered on this channel, who will be gathered, taking part in the in spirit? Alright. You guys are a collective of folks who have lived through a time period. Up until now, you've lived through a time period where there's been this, like, I don't know how to say it, like, they say lack of completion, but that's not lack of completion, delays. It's like you were trying and you were good at what you were doing, or you felt like you knew where you were going, and always something would happen and it wouldn't be the right thing. And there would be like all these pieces of you that should work together in harmony, but instead they're just segregated pieces. Those pieces are going to be the pieces that are going to come together to make you a part of the tomorrow of our worship, of reimagining the future of our religious institutions, of the way that we do this thing. And you've been through this time where you were really, it was, I, I think there was a hand on your head. They're almost almost like don't grow, just a pushing down. And there was an emptiness and something that felt like it just never, things don't work out. That there must be something deficient with me, but there wasn't anything deficient with you. This is who you are. There wasn't anything deficient with you. You were being, uh, really almost like a kitten. Well, I've got my new kitten, okay, so kitten metaphors, here we go. But almost like a kitten being shoved in a basket and quieted at a time when, there's a burglar in the house, you don't want anybody to know that they're there. Like, almost like I said, with a hand, I see a hand on the head, like holding down or holding back, um, keeping to the side of this collective of people, that the things that you were banking on, like if you were going to be a missionary, or you were going to be a minister, or you were going to be a doctor, or you were going to be this or that, the things that you tried to be over the years, the things that you worked at doing, none of the things quite came together exactly right, and they would be thwarted at some time by some event that would throw things off and wouldn't work out. And it could be a world event, it could be secular, it could have been anything. Like the major hurricane came through, Katrina came through, and a job that you were about to start became not a job because the building blew away. That kind of thing for years and years. And it was not that there was anything wrong with you, it's that you were being seasoned. You were experiencing this time right here, which seasoned you into a Mary Magdalene that could hear very well, and it also seasoned you into this really loving heart of Mary, like this intensely huge-hearted person. But you needed the development of the Mary Magdalene to be safe out there with that loving heart of Mary, because without the Mary Magdalene, the loving heart of Mary is very, very vulnerable. And that is who that's why you guys have been through that world reversed, is so that all those things could be put into place carefully, so that once you did get out into the world, you would be safe, so that once you were seen, you would be safe in the world. Because before, the little matchstick girl, you weren't safe. You weren't safe. And it took a lot of prayer, the power of prayer. It took a lot of that prayer to get you to a place where you were hearing, like the high priestess, and a lot of the power of prayer to get you to where you could love with the heart of Mary, right? And yeah, and where you could see and notice. The first thing I was like, I want to do angels, and there's angels all around this card. I want to do angels. So many synchronicities will just pop up as you do these readings, and they're usually beautiful, and sometimes they take my breath away, as you heard earlier. Um, this is the Ace of Wands. So we have got yet more. It's just really more creativity. and enthusiasm and opportunities and progress. So this is now the time for your passion and your fearlessness and all that to break through. This is a time of a breakthrough with the Ace of Wands, and this is a time for that which has been segregated and hidden within you to be able to come forth into bright new ideas that never have been before, so you can do what it is you're going to do before, because it's not been a thing before. So it's a time where that passion, where these two get to be in concert with one another, melded into one another, as a unit and as a put together whole. The Ace of Wands as a whole that will actually move with power and actually be able to be seen and actually push through a lot of the boundaries that you've been facing. So this is not only just a, what are the strengths of this group, of this collective, but also this is what the collective is looking at is, man, is, this new beginnings and new ideas and this fresh, let me just open that up just a little bit so we can see it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just really a lovely vision there with the High Priestess and the Empress together. And I think the power of prayer being pulled the first time is important, because this power of prayer is also going to continue to serve you. There's not been a person that I have ever suggested that they stop praying and start meditating, or stop meditating and only do this. Forget, no, you're to be pulling all the things that God has gifted us as humanity for his purposes, for his divine will. You're to pull all those things to yourself, and being such an important collective, the High Priestess and the Empress melded into one, almost with the job or the mission of this Ace of Wands that's sitting here, and the mission of the Four of Candles, the Ark, God, being brought yeah, the Ark brought to Jerusalem. it, you need the power of prayer. These experiences seasoned you, but the power of prayer is going to help keep your ear keen. It's going to help um keep that conduit clean and open, and the power of prayer is going to protect you, because there's not a praying person that's right and true of heart that God's not standing next to protect. It's the praying person that's just saying words, that there is no power in it. The power of your prayer, my collective High Priestess and Empress combined, the power of your prayer is the purity of it. It's the truth in it. It's the undeniable, that someone's hearing you, and God knows that you know. And that's where your power comes from, and that's how those two beings get melded into one. And this is about the most beautiful reading I think I've ever looked at. I'm just really blown away, and I'm literally like, what is my collective? Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for the people that are here already, and thank you to the ones that will be here tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the day after that, because they're only going to grow. And how excited am I, because look at who my collective is. Wow. Like, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. If you enjoyed this week reading, you got any value from it, if you feel like you really resonate with this feels like you, it's definitely you. I just encourage you to comment, like, subscribe, and help the channel grow, so we can get these messages out, so that we can find each other. That's what we're doing at this time. So see you guys with the next reading. So glad I did this one. Bye.